Hi everyone, it's Belinda. I am trying something a little different for this summer session where I'm hoping to give you shorter little recap videos so that you have sort of the bare bones information for each class day to get you started. So let's start here with Chapter 1 and Lab 1 recap. All right, so if we take a look here at chapter 1, the first thing in it is what is biology? And that is the study of living things. And that is what our whole class is going to be about, studying the species, perhaps, but also their interactions internally with their cells and their tissues and their organs and the chemistry behind that, the physiology behind that. Also, studying their interactions within groups like a population and a community and an ecosystem. So the spread of what biology covers is kind of large, and you are in one of those introductory classes. So it's like we're doing like a little touch or a little taste of each part of biology. Maybe there we go. The next part here is that life is organized, meaning that we are going to start with atoms that build into molecules. Those are not living things. But once we get these big molecules working together, having some sort of purpose, metabolism, some sort of structure, we get cells. And cells are the basic unit structure and function of living things. And living things can be single celled, one cell makes up the whole living organism, or multi celled, like you and I. If we put a bunch of cells together, give them a job, they are tissues. If we put a bunch of tissues together and give that thing a job, we call it an organ. If we put a bunch of organs together, we get an organ system, and a bunch of organ systems give us the organism. If we put a bunch of those organisms together, we can have a species if they are the same type of organism. And if they are in a place at a time, we call it a population. If that population is interacting with other populations, we call it a community. If we get a bunch of communities together, we can have an ecosystem, and a bunch of ecosystems together, we call that the biosphere, or our whole planet where living things can exist. Um, what are the requirements that we have for living things? Well, life needs materials and energy, so we need to eat and get those materials, or we need to make our own food if we're a plant or an algae. Living organisms respond to their environment or respond to a stimulus, and they maintain their internal environment, or we call that homeostasis. Living things have to be able to reproduce or make more of themselves and develop, which is grow and change over time. And living organisms have adaptations, where they are able to change something about how they interact with that environment to be better suited to survive in that place. We also touch briefly in this chapter on the scientific naming and taxonomy. We know that scientific names have two parts. It's that, well, I guess we should back up and know that within taxonomy, that's where we have domains and kingdoms and phylums and orders and family, class, genus, species. That's our Did King Philip come over for green spaghetti. But when we are looking at naming an individual, it's a two-part name or binomial nomenclature where we have that genus and species or specific epithets. We capitalize the first letter of that genus. If we are handwriting, we will underline. If we are typing, we can italicize. So here is one example. We have caretta, that capitalized C, and that is going to be a loggerhead sea turtle. Then, of course, with those different domains and kingdoms, we named them in this chapter. We've got domain and kingdom bacteria, domain and kingdom archaea. Those are our prokaryotic domains and kingdoms. Then we've got domain eukaryota or eukaryotes, meaning our cells have a nucleus and membrane organelles. And that is going to include the kingdoms plants, animals, fungus, and protists. Last up and overlapping with our lab is, of course, the scientific method, that very step-by-step process in which scientists make an observation about the world around them, ask a question that they want to answer, come up with a hypothesis or sort of predict what could happen, design an experiment where they only change one independent variable, they account for or control all other aspects of the experiment, they record data on the dependent variable or the thing that is going to change because of the independent variable. And then, of course, after that data collection, they are able to make some conclusions. But this is not a linear process. It is usually this very interconnected web where you design an experiment and you have more questions and you have more hypotheses. You reject some of those predictions. And finally, you can draw your conclusion and you can even publish those results. But of course, we cannot forget lab safety was also part of this first day where we learned about the different rules in the labs to keep us safe, whether that was our PPE or personal protective equipment, how to wash our hands, when to wear our goggles and gloves, tie our hair back, that sort of thing. And of course, we have this fun AI generated image here where this person is not being safe. So if you watched this video to this point and you want some bonus points, send me an email with 5 things that are unsafe about this lab scenario, and that is going to be a way to get some extra bonus points put on to your score. And we'll do that throughout these videos, hopefully throughout the term. Last but not least, of course, is sort of, what to expect. What should I be doing? Well, obviously, Monday was yesterday and there was no class. Today is the first day of our class. So you'll want to sort of get yourself introduced to the course, opt in or opt out of your McGraw-Hill textbook, take that introduction quiz. You can even start discussion board 1 where you get to tell us about you and who you are. And maybe you want to either read chapter 1 and take notes or watch chapter 1 video and take notes. Same thing with lab 1 and lab safety. Then maybe tomorrow you complete that assigned work for chapter 1 and lab 1. And then on Thursday, you'll continue on. There'll be another short video clip, quick recap. And then you can maybe do that discussion board that you didn't want to do on Tuesday. And of course, on Friday would be to complete those chapter 2 and lab 2 assignments. As always, if you have any questions, any concerns, please feel free to reach out. I am so happy to work with you. Otherwise, let's get started in this course, everyone. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day.